So I'm here with my guest today, Rod Phillips, progressive conservative candidate for Ajax, former president of OLG. How are you doing today?
I'm great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Getting together. This is exciting. This
Thank
is
you.
The kickoff of the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
first video. So what led you to get into politics?
You know, I've been active in politics a long time. In university, I just became involved from student council politics on, but running is a whole different thing, and it really was just a frustration with the lack of accountability of Kathleen Wynne and her Liberal government. And you know, in all things, we have to take responsibility when we do stuff, and I just didn't feel like this government was being responsible or accountable, and so that was enough.
Yeah. So what private sector roles over the last couple of decades have you filled?
Well, you know, I started out as a management consultant, which is great training for anybody who wants to learn how to divide your life into 6-minute increments and charge people for them. It was actually very good training at KPMG. And then from there, in terms of private sector, I ran a company called Chappelle FGI, which was one of the largest employee health companies in Canada and in North America. We grew that from about 300 employees up to several thousand employees, and that was a business that really helped people in terms of psychosocial issues and health issues, all funded through their employer. I've also ran a venture law business and was the CEO of the Lottery and Gaming Corporation, which is kind of a bridge. It's a very big, about a $7 billion company, but it's actually an Ontario enterprise company, so it's owned by the Ontario government, who's the shareholder. So we took that over when there'd been some issues with retailer fraud and made the business better.
Wow, very nice. So there's rumors that if you win, you'll become the next Minister of Finance for Ontario. Would that be a role that you take?
You know, right now I'm just laser focused on getting to be the MPP from Ajax, which in the morning when I get up, you know, it's great. I am sure you've experienced this, but when you have something that really motivates you and you get up in the morning and you go like, yeah, I wanna be the MPP from Ajax. If I get to be the MPP from Ajax, if we win the government, then I'd sure be happy to serve in whatever role that our leader Doug Ford wanted me to serve.
So speaking of Doug Ford, what do you think of the current leader?
You know, Doug is a business person, and Doug is a guy with a big heart. And people know that from the Ford family because they know that from Rob Ford. I had the privilege of knowing Doug and Rob's dad, Doug Sr., when I worked for Elizabeth Whitmer when I was her chief of staff back in the mid-90s. And so it doesn't surprise me knowing the family. But he's also a guy, and it's really important to me, who knows how numbers work. He's had to meet a payroll, as I have. He's had to make decisions about complicated business situations. He's run a business, a North American business. So he has a lot of the attributes that, frankly, I think people think are missing in government. Because if you've run that kind of business and you've been responsible for employees and responsible for customers, then you understand what accountability means. And accountability means, you know, setting out to do something and getting it done. And the number one frustration I find with the last 15 years of Liberal government is things just haven't gotten done, and then the things that have gotten done badly. That's not the sort of thing that Doug Ford will let happen.
Yeah, so as a potential MPP, as a potential member of provincial parliament, where do you see this province in 4 years?
You know, in 4 years, I think we could just be in a much better place from a couple of perspectives. If you think of the big things that are important, transit and transportation. I mean, it is gridlocked across the GTA. Nobody has to tell you on that. We all experience it. That means that we need to do two things. We need to get shovels in the ground right away. And we've talked about a $5 billion investment in transit and transportation in the GTA, focusing on subways, including out to the East End, which will help us here in Durham and Ajax for sure, as well as all the other investments. But we also have to just get more creative and smart about unclogging the traffic problem. So I think we'll be making good gains, nowhere near fixed, but we'll be making good gains on that. I think in the energy area, if there's one thing the Liberals have messed up, in addition to transit and transportation, and we all feel that every day, it's our hydro bills and the cost of hydro and power, and that will be better. And it'll be better because we will take a more business-like approach to looking at this. We'll get rid of the Green Energy Act, which is draining out money. We'll put a new culture in place at the major utilities so that gets fixed. And then I think the third thing, and Doug talks about this all the time, is Ontario being open for business. If you aren't creating private sector jobs, I mean, if you're constantly relying on growing the public sector, eventually you run out of tax dollars to pay for the really important services we need in health and education, environment, transportation. So there is so much, and I hear this every day, so much pent-up desire from Ontario's small business and medium business to compete. We've got the smartest people in the world, I believe that, but we are constraining them with too much red tape and frankly too much tax. So we're going to be reducing the tax rate on business to help inspire and motivate that and cutting through the regs. But if we have transportation well on the way to being fixed, if we have a hydro system that starts to make sense so people aren't buying Ontario power cheaper in New York than they can buy it in Ontario,
Yeah,
which is the case
that's
today.
ridiculous. It's brutal.
And then being open for business, which means a whole package of things. Then I think we'll start to see the good jobs returning, which is what people want, and we'll have Ontario be the prosperous place it can be.
Good to hear, good to hear. So before I came to the interview, I spent $50 at the gas pump. I only got 35 liters. Where does the Conservative government bring gas prices?
Well, we just announced today, the day of this taping, that we're going to be reducing the tax on gas, which is already considered by 10 cents. And I think that again is going to mean, of course, that is going to mean the government revenues are impacted, which means the government has to be more efficient in itself, and that doesn't mean any of the transfers like to the municipalities will change, but government is going to have to manage its own finances better, and I think everybody agrees that the Wynne government has not managed the finances well. But most importantly, it's going to be some relief for drivers, relief for commuters. It has just gotten too expensive in Kathleen Wynne's Ontario to have people live lives the way they want, and the number one way a Liberal government shows that to you is how much money they take from tax. And so taking less of that is going to get people with money in their pockets, and people are going to spend that money in the economy. They're going to spend that money on things for their kids. They're going to spend that money on things for their families, and that will be good for the economy. So that's relief that taxpayers can expect and drivers can expect.
Yeah, great for small businesses.
And great for small business, especially if the businesses, they've got to get goods around, you got to get people around.
Yeah, more employees, which is even better.
Yeah.
So the Ajax Casino, where do you see that?
That's a difficult issue. Somewhat inexplicably, Joe Dixon, who's been a long-time representative here, endorsed the site in Pickering. And that has three effects. If the site moves, and the government subsequently has announced that it is leaving Ajax, $8 million of lost revenue, which will put pressure on property taxes. As you're going to find out even more, already as you talk to people, in Ajax, their property taxes are very high because 87% of the tax base is managed through the private property tax, not through commercial. You don't have a lot of businesses here, so that's going to put $8 million more pressure on things. It's going to be the end of quarter horse racing, 1,700 jobs across Durham region, and the end of an
That's
industry.
brutal.
It is brutal. And then third, there's the whole traffic issue on the west side, which Church Street is already awfully busy. So there's three big issues, and what we've proposed in partnership with the quarter horse racing owners is a program that would actually deal with two of those, which is to have both the Ajax casino, or the Ajax Downs as we called it, and the Durham Live coexist, and that can work under the OLG's plans. As I mentioned to you, I was the CEO there. I've been gone for 4 years, but that model could work. Kind of one facility with one style and approach, and another kind of like two different types of restaurants, and then a second that's a little more maybe a little more upscale or whatever the Durham one is. Still doesn't fix the traffic issue. Joe Dixon and Kathleen Wynne got the same proposal. They rejected it. Don't understand why. My only proviso on all this is we don't know what kind of deal was done 60 days before an election. It makes it a little bit challenging to know exactly what can be done, but we're sort of fighting for it because we were out at Mother's Day at Ajax Downs for the quarter horse racing. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of people. It was a beautiful day for horse racing, a beautiful day for families. That's the sort of thing that it would be a real shame if the money and frankly the 350 jobs were to leave Ajax. It just doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's why Ajax needs no OLG president, seeing as we have one of the biggest issues with the casino. Well, thank you very much, Rod Phillips. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
And good luck with all your upcoming things. It's going to be exciting.
It will.
I think good things for Ajax.
It will. I agree. Thank you very much.